All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter. Today, we're going to be discussing running reports that include membership and donations criteria. So what I thought we would do, or kind of the approach that I came up with when making my outline for today, was to go through the reporting screen and go through the different tabs and options that you have. And then from there, I have three, if we have time, three different examples of criteria or popular criterias that I hear from customers that they're actually looking for when running reports that include both membership and donations data. Okay, so let's just jump in. Well, before I do that though, if you want to ask questions, there is a place on your GoToWebinar toolbar off to the right where you can ask questions. Kellyanne's listening in today to help out. There is a good amount of us that should be logging in today. So if you have questions, please feel free to type those into Kellyanne. She'll be happy to answer them for you. I do ask that you keep the questions topical. So if you have general questions about what we're doing about pulling these reports, feel free to ask those. If you have more specific questions, like in regards to your data or how you create a report specific to your data, feel free to ask them, but it could very well be that it's too specific, and for us to give you the correct answer, we'd really need to talk to you over the phone or even see your data or ask you more questions about your data to answer you best. So keep that in mind too. If you have a really specific question, we might not be able to get to it today during the webinar, but you can call us or email us at support@churchwindows.com, and we'll be happy to answer it that way. All right, let me pull up the main screen for Church Windows here. I do want to point out current version of Church Windows is 18.15.4. If you're seeing something different than the .4, something earlier than the .4, head out to our website and you can gather information out there on what's new in the current version and also downloading the update. All right, so for today's reports, I'm going to pull them through membership. So I have the membership portal open, and I'm going to click on reports, and I'm going to go into reports directory export. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I want to go through these different tabs across the top left here, and I want to point out the different options that you have on each tab for creating a report for what you need. So let's start on the People tab. I am going to go through this quickly because there is a lot of information to cover in today's topic, but feel free to type in questions or call us if we don't get it resolved in the time allotted today. Okay, so People tab. This is where you are going to go in and you are going to query on specific membership fields from the membership module. So for example, if we look up here and select a membership field, if you click the down arrow, there are a bunch of different things you can query on for a report. So you can query on people's family relations. You can query on people's geographic area, their gender. A lot of times people I talk to want to pull a report on the women of the church or the men of the church and how much they give or what percentage of women pledge. Something to that extent you would use gender for. There's also a really good field like membership date. You want to know maybe who's pledging that joined last year or something like that. You can do that. School grade, you want to see your youth and if they're pledging or what they're giving. Status is also a common one. I have an example for status. If you want to pull a report on people of a particular status and what they give or what they pledge, this is where you would put that criteria in. Now let's look at, I'm just going to clear that out. Let's look at giver number. You have the option to query on people just with giver numbers, people just without, or people that have a giver number in a certain range. That would be done here in this section. Also down here you have an include box. You can query on just visitors if you want to see what your visitors are doing. You can query on just members, or you can do both. This is an option to pull up membership groups. So this would include all of your membership groups that you have set up, like your Bible studies and things like that. Donations, individuals, and donations groups. These would be people or groups that are entered directly into the donations module. You can choose to include or exclude those people from your report. All right, let's go up to Giving and Pledging tab. This is where you really get into the donations side of pulling a report. So the Giving Includes section up at the top left. You can say, I want to see everybody on this report, regardless of whether they have given or not. You can choose to just query on people who have giving, or just people who have giving in a certain range, or starting at $100 and up. Or you can query on people who don't have any giving, which is an example we'll do at the end. But say you want to see members or people that are a full member, but they haven't given anything in a time frame. That's an option you could do as well. Then, using and, you can come in and you can pair that with pledging information as well. So say you want to see people who have pledged but haven't given anything yet. That's also an example I have set up. So you could query on only those who pledged and only those who did not give. That is an option. So you can really come in here and play and get really detailed with who you want to see on your reports as you need them. You can also pull people who just have an annual pledge by coming in here and unchecking these boxes. Okay? Lots of options. You can also query on those who have not met all their pledges. Say you want to see who still has a balance left on their pledge. You can use those who options over here. Now you have this donation date range. The date range is very important when you're looking at donation reports. If you just want to see for the first 6 months, you would come in this box and adjust it accordingly. Or say you wanted to see giving from last year, you could hit this year minus button and it'll take you back to 2015. So date ranges are pretty crucial when you're looking at giving reports, so you can focus in on the proper time frame. You also have this receive statement include and this gives with family include. These are new features that we've added. It can allow you to pull people dependent upon their gives with family and whether they're checked receive statement or not. For basic reporting though, you want to leave these on all. All right, let's jump up to the Accounts tab. The Accounts tab allows you to query on a campaign or giving accounts. So say you only want to see people that have given to a particular giving account. If that's the case, you can move that giving account over to the right. If you want to look at all giving accounts, you don't care to see giving or information on a specific one, then you leave them all over here on the left, and by default they will all be included. You also have a campaign drop box up here. Say you want to pull a report, but you only want people that give or pledge to a particular campaign to be included. You can hit the down arrow and select that specific campaign from the list. Now up to the Sort tab. Sort tab's pretty straightforward. This is going to be the order that your report is going to print. Name will give you alphabetical order. You can query on or sort by name. You can also scroll through the list and see all your different options. Maybe you want to see it sorted by status or zip code. But there's a lot of good fields in here that might help print your report the way you're needing it. You can also choose giver number. Lots of options there for you to search through and find what best fits your needs. All right, so that's a quick overview of your different tabs. I'm hoping that what we can do is I can show you a couple examples, and then that will give you some ideas for help for querying, or you can ask a question and we can see if it pertains to a lot of people and I can go over it. All right, down at the bottom, I want to highlight this so you all can see this, the Save Selections down here. This is really helpful if you have a criteria or a report that you need to pull on a regular basis. So what you do is after you go through all of these tabs and you put in the criteria that you need, so your people, your giving, your pledging, your accounts, and your sort order, once you get all those tabs filled in, then you can come down here at the bottom and click this little floppy disk. The little floppy disk is going to allow you to save the criteria from the different tabs. So the next time you come in, you just hit the down arrow and you pick that save selection. And then it's going to go back through your tabs and plug in all the information. So say you always run a report and query on your active members. You could save that so it'll always pull that up without having to go in and pop all that information in again. It's an option. You don't have to do it, but it is a nice feature that we put in Church Windows to save you a little bit of time. All right, so the first example that I have set up that I want to go over is active members with giving to a particular giving account. So let me reopen this because I made some changes. So if we want to see active members, we need to know in our Church Windows how we designate those active people. So a lot of people use different status codes to designate their active members. So to do that, or to specify that on this report, we're going to come up to select a membership field, and we're going to hit the down arrow and we're going down to status. So I've selected status, and then I'm going to include those items that mean active member to me. Okay, so let's do active and associate, and we'll do out of town member. Once we have the ones checked we want, I'm going to hit plus selection, and that's going to input that criteria. So the program's only going to pull people on the report that have one of the following statuses. Now I'm also going to come over to the right. I'm going to uncheck visitors because we're just focusing on members. Okay, now I want just these people who have giving. So now I'm going to come up to the Giving and Pledging tab, and I'm going to then put in my Giving and Pledging criteria. So under Giving Include, I'm going to come down to only those who gave. And I'm going to leave my date range for this year because I just want to see people who have giving within this date range. And then I'm going to come up to the Accounts tab, and I'm going to move my General Fund over to the right. So as of now, these three tabs are working together. So if there's going to be someone on our report when we run it, they have to meet this criteria of one of the following statuses. They have to have giving in this date range, and it has to be to General Fund. My sort tab's on name. That'll give me alphabetical order. That's fine. And I'm going to come to the bottom right, and I'm going to hit my next. And now this is going to take me to my step 2. And I've already set up a basic report called the Giving Report. We're not going to get into too much detail about creating basic reports because today's mostly about criteria, which takes place on step 1. But on step 2 here, I'm choosing basic, and then I created a new report and selected the fields that I wanted. And for today's examples, I have a pretty basic report: name, status, total given, and total pledged. So when you run a basic report out of membership, if you scroll down to the D's, you have a lot of donation options that you can choose to include. So at this point, I see my people that have met my criteria, and I'm going to hit print. And here's my print preview. So I have all my people in my name column, their status, how much they've given, and how much they've pledged. And if you scroll down to the bottom, This is a great feature. It actually shows you how many people meet the criteria, and it reiterates what your criteria is. So if you print this, you have the information to recreate it. So I have 25 people that have given to the general fund and have the following status. All right, so that was example number 1. Let me show you my next one here. Go back into membership. And I'm going to go back to reports and reports directory export. So this next criteria that I came up is going to be attending members that haven't pledged. So this would be if you want to see your members that are coming to church, but for whatever reason they haven't made a pledge, maybe you want to reach out to them, this would be a good way to pull those people. Okay, so starting on the People tab, we're selecting a membership field. We're going to hit the down arrow, click on Attendance, which is all the way up at the top of the list. We're going to check all 3 of our worship services. If you just have one, you would just check that. Date range, we're looking at this year, so I'm going to do 01/01/2016 through 12/31/2016. And then in my times attended, I need to do 1 through 99. So for these people to be included on this report, they had to at least come once. And I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to add this selection to the list. Then I'm going to come over to the right and I'm going to remove the check mark next to visitors. Now you can also do an AND here if you wish and query on a particular status code. So if you want to focus in more than just people in the membership side or members side, we can also add an AND. Go back up to our status. And then we'll check the corresponding status codes that we want and hit plus selection. So this might be a good idea if you want to leave out those kiddos that you don't want to see on your report that would be in the member side but wouldn't have a pledge. Then we are going to go up to giving and pledging up at the top. And under giving include, we're going to leave it on all. But then down here under pledging include, we're going to go to only those who did not pledge. Accounts tab, we're going to look at everything. Sort, we're going to leave it on name, and then we're going to hit next. And I'm going to stick with my basic, my giving report. You can reuse these reports no matter what criteria you put on the first screen. And I'm going to hit print. And this is going to give me my members that have attended but haven't pledged, and we can see quickly by looking at the total pledged column we have zeros. All right, let me show you one more. This last option I came up with is people who have pledged but haven't given yet towards their pledge. All right, so I'm not going to put in any membership information on the first tab. I'm not looking at excluding anyone specifically on their membership data because I really want to focus on the pledging information. So if that's the case, I'm going to come up to giving and pledging. On the giving include tab, I'm going to go down to only those who did not give. And then down here, I'm going to come down to only those who pledged. And then I'm going to come up to my Accounts tab. And I'm going to pick my 2016 campaign. And I'm going to hit Next. And I have a couple people. And I'm going to hit Print. And you can see these are people that have in fact made a pledge in 2016, but haven't actually given anything towards that pledge yet. So maybe you want to reach out to these people, contact them, and just see what's going on, make sure they're okay. But this would be another great report that would help you looking at membership data and looking at the donations. All right, so that covers my 3 examples. Let me pop over here and look at the questions and see how we're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in. I will do my best, and Kellyanne will do her best to get you an answer here. All right, looks like we have a user asking, can you show how to create an email with these same criteria? Victoria, I can touch on that. Let me go through. What you want to do is go through reports and go to email here, and you'll put in your same criteria that you want. You'll see you no longer have a sort tab because you don't need to sort for emailing. But let's say we want to just pull only those who gave. And if you hit next, it's going to take you to a different step 2 window. So this is actually going to take you to everyone that meets the criteria and has an email. And then this is where you would go in and put in your email settings. Not going to have time to get in that today, Victoria, but we have a lot of stuff out at churchwindows.com. There's a document and a movie on how to get your emailing set up for future use. Well, feel free to type in any questions. I'll be happy to answer them for you. If you don't have any questions and you need to run, that's fine. Feel free to close out. But I'll give you about another minute or 2 here to type anything in, and if we don't have anything popping in, then I'll close out. Elaine mentioned I missed the first few minutes, but can all these reports be done through the donations side? A good report to use, Elaine, is going to be the pledge giving analysis over in donations. Pledge giving analysis is going to give you that people tab where you can put in membership criteria and pull on status and things like that we discussed. But pledge giving analysis, Elaine, that would really be a good place to start. Say you don't have access to the membership side. You can start with that report, and you should be able to get some pretty good information. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. Doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in. I hope you learned something new today that'll make your job a little easier. If you have specific questions, feel free to call us or shoot us an email at support@churchwindows.com, and we will be happy to get a response to you. I did record this webinar. It should be available out on our website in the near future if you happen to miss the first couple minutes. But I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks.